The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
I'm CJ.
And it's Friday.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's Friday. Thank
God it's Friday.
TGIF.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know, before we get into some of the meat and potatoes of...
meat and potato, okay.
Meat and potatoes, yeah.
Let's get the, we're going to have a salad first? Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little salad, or as Carlos liked to say yesterday, there's going to be no hamburger in this, it's just going to be the bun. It's a vegetarian meal.
Okay.
The state unemployment rate dropped again. For the first time in 2017, the unemployment rate for Massachusetts fell slightly to 4.2%.
Wow.
In August, the first time it decreased since November. The seasonally adjusted rate has been at 4.4% in July. It's been steadily increasing month by month through the year, starting from 3.2% in January. So we finally went down a little bit. What do you know? But it's going to go up again because Benny's is closing, so...
Well, you know, the thing that gets me about this article, and obviously it's available, when we don't make these things up, okay? Boston Business Journal.
The Boston Business Journal.
Yeah. But amazingly, businesses keep track of stuff that we don't keep track of here. It says here, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics revised July job numbers to indicate Massachusetts added 2,500 jobs. It had previously estimated that the state lost 200. So they actually factor in jobs lost, which we never do. No. All we ever hear about is, hey, we're opening up Amazon, we're going to get 1 million jobs, and then they close something, and everybody goes, too bad it's closing. But nobody ever factors that in. It's just like market basket versus what's going to happen. How many jobs are we going to lose if the Stop and Shop in the South End, plus tax money?
I can tell you that's already happening. Yeah. I was in a Stop and Shop here in the city just the other day, and there was 2 cashiers on. And they had all the self-serve registers open. And I spoke to the manager, and I said, you know, you have lines on everything, the self-serve registers and the 2 cashiers. Why don't you open another register? He says, we don't have the hours. We've cut way back, and we're cutting back even further once Market Basket opens. So, you know, you're going to get to Stop and Shop with 1 register. And what's going to happen to those people? They're not going to have a job.
Yeah, ultimately they're not going to. And ultimately they'll probably close the doors like Shaw's did down there.
Right.
And you know, it's... Again, like I said, you know, they only look at the tree. They don't look at the forest. You know, if you continue to bring in package stores are going to go out of business because it's going to be, there's going to be a glut in the market. There are too many. You have to find that balance where they can survive, but they don't care. It's like, okay, it's not let the buyer beware, it's let the business beware here.
Yeah, well,
nobody ever pays attention to that aspect of economics.
Right, and it's interesting because, you know, the Boston Business Journal here, which, you know, we get out a lot of our news from a lot of these different places that Fall River people have no clue about sometimes. They say the biggest booster of job growth in August was the professional, scientific, and business service sector, which added an estimated 7,100 jobs over a month.
Well, there you go. What did we talk about?
Education.
What did we talk about? We said 6 million jobs are unfilled. Why? Because they don't have the skills. So you're not going to get a job in a scientific or even in a business sector doing something other than stocking shelves, which is the last hired, first fired. And we continue to say that, even though statistically it's proven virtually every day, there never seems to be any attempt to do that. We just create new jobs in in the public sector, not the private sector.
Right.
Because we can make up our own jobs over at City Hall, right? We can just make them up. If they're there, we just make them.
I think the city council president just mentioned about a job that was created. But,
yeah, I think he did. And there was another one, too. There's also another one that used to be a union official and now is withdrawn from the union, and they got a job, I guess, because they backed their...
High-paying job, but I want to know where all this money's coming from.
Well, I don't think it was in the budget because these jobs didn't exist.
Right, exactly.
So I don't know, but again, we talk about how much money we're saving and you know, we're doing such a great job. But maybe that's the reason that with all these jobs being created and stuff, that's why our taxes have to go up. That's why our fees have to go up. They continue to talk about eliminating things like, I eliminated the $10 trash fee. Well, check out your water bill, everybody. Check out your tax rate. Did you really make money? You know, no matter how many times we tell them, you can't eliminate these things. They're in the budget. They generate revenue. That revenue is factored into the budget. And whether you like it or not, you still have to get up the money to fund whatever that was funding in the budget. You just can't rip it out of the budget and it disappears. It's extra. It's like saying, well, I'm not going to use my part-time job to pay my water bill. Well, guess what? If you don't do that anymore, and you quit your part-time job, your water bill still comes in. So whatever that money was earmarked for, that revenue was earmarked for in the budget, does not go away. We didn't eliminate anything except the fee. All we got rid of was the money. We said we're not going to collect that money from you anymore. But guess what? If we're not collecting it in that form, we have to collect it in another form because the bill that money paid remains. It's not that difficult.
Boy,
it's not rocket science. I hate to say it.
That's common sense, isn't it?
Yeah, well...
Well, you know, the least of all senses that man has.
The least common of senses is common sense. Yeah. That's right.
Well, the Boston Globe reported on the 14th, yesterday, and the Massachusetts Republican Party, touting their propaganda, carried that article. Massachusetts household incomes way up under Governor Baker.
Oh, God. That isn't a political statement,
yeah, that's
right?
not a political statement at all.
Governor's so wonderful.
The incomes in Massachusetts went up by 5.3%. But remember, that wasn't to the low-income people. That were people at the right end or the right side of the income bracket, meaning the higher income. So total income for median households, the one right in the middle of the income ladder, reached $75,300. That's for Massachusetts. That's not for Fall River.
Oh, yeah. And what's the Fall River median income?
Well, according to the last reports that I saw, it was somewhere between $23,000 and $24,000.
Wow. That's like about one-third, almost like just about one-third of the state median.
Right.
But remember, we can afford all these taxes.
That's right.
And our tax rate is low. But remember, if you've got, let's do this in a simple way. Okay, we'll round it off to a third. So if you got 33 cents in your pocket, the $1 hamburger is very expensive. So, that's what they always say, because I used to love it when they tried the big lie about, well, look at our tax rate. It's really low. There are the cities. Well, in those other cities, people are making 3 times more money. So if they're paying a couple of dollars more for taxes, but they're making 3 times more, they're a hell of a lot better off than we are. And if you can't figure that one out, you probably shouldn't be involved in government.
That's true. And, here's the interesting part about it. The press release says, if you're wondering what the secret sauce is, yeah, I'd like to know what it is. It's Greater Boston. It's great. Imagine that. It's Greater Boston.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, with Harvard, MIT,
which has found a way to bind universities, startups, and healthcare giants together to form the kind of knowledge-based economy that the 21st century seems to reward. Now, listen to that again. Bind universities, startups, and healthcare giants together to form the kind of knowledge-based, let's say that again, knowledge-based economy that the 21st century seems to reward. What? Fall River doesn't have a knowledge-based economy?
Well,
I think
look,
not.
Here we go again, in a different way of stating it, here we are again talking about what we've been talking about for years on this show, about education, about apprenticeships, about elevating skills and putting people together, businesses and work studies and apprenticeships and getting people together to generate something. And again, all we ever do is, bring in low tech and, you can be replaced by a robot tomorrow or just eliminated completely by a scanner. And, no matter how many times you say it, it falls on deaf ears, it seems. So all our great delusionary methods of improving Fall River like tourism, yes. Yeah, there were shots fired again. Yes, we heard. But let's
send in the clowns.
Send in the clowns, yeah. And guess what? Shot spotter picked up the shot. So
again,
there you go.
Again.
There you go. I guess it gets down to theories. That shot spotter.
I guess that shot spotter doesn't work, huh?
Yeah, but it also picks up other things. But if I were in a situation, but as a taxpayer, it's like, would I rather have something that might get the police there a little earlier? And, all right, so they're going to dispatch someone, and it might be a backfire or a firecracker, but at least they're en route. It could be a gunshot. And if you're on the receiving end of that gunshot,
you want them there fast.
You want them there a lot quicker. That's,
yeah, exactly.
Better to err on the side of caution.
Yeah, well, those shots fired is still under investigation with nothing again. So, and I'm not saying that as a dig to the police department. It's just not easy to get information when the people in Fall River don't say anything. They don't say anything. Yeah. And that creates the problem.
Well, they're afraid there'll be more gunshots around their house if they say anything.
There may be gunshots in the schools. Look at what the SGC just did. The Supreme Judicial Court just ruled made it more dangerous in the school system. You cannot put aside and pat search a strange man walking through your schools with a backpack that's reeking of marijuana and booze. Can't do it. You don't have cause.
Yeah, and they found a gun in this guy.
And they found a gun on the guy, and they threw out anything that they had against him because of this ruling. So the guy is now free and clear, and he doesn't have to worry about anything.
Isn't our judicial system wonderful? Everything's about technicalities. It's not about justice. They should take the blindfold off justice and instead of holding a scale, hold 2 jars of Vaseline, because that's what's happening to the people. This is what our judicial system has become. It's evolved into a place where the criminal gets off on technicalities and the people suffer. I mean, this is absurd. This is absolutely absurd.
Right. This was reported by the Lowell
But you know what really disturbs me? These sitting judges, I will guarantee you that their children and their grandchildren, and they live in very, very safe, gated communities. Their kids probably go to private schools. It was like in the old days when they were forcing these rulings down, and the politicians who were passing the rulings, their kids went to school in Switzerland. They went to prep schools in Europe, or a prep school where nobody could get close. Nobody worried about it. They weren't living in a 3-decker in Lowell or Lawrence or Fall River. They weren't being subjected to the impact of their rulings. This is the thing. This is why I always loved Hammurabi's Code, because what should happen is if some clown walks into a school and they can't search him and he shoots somebody's kid, they should go get these judges, line them against the wall and shoot them, because they're the people who created it.
Well,
even if we had this safeguard, it's tough enough in today's society to keep this stuff from happening.
Right.
But to make it easier for it to happen, because they're not gonna suffer the consequences, because they're making $92,000 part-time and got it with $100 and some thousand pension. They can live anywhere they want.
I wonder who you're talking about.
They don't have to send their kids to Durfee, because they can't afford to go to Providence Country Day or Moses Brown Academy or Hendricken. No,
Yeah.
they got to go to Durfee, and kids and people can. And let me read this. This guy was, what was he?
Jonathan Villagran. He was 19.
Yeah. Well, what say? It would say, a suspicious person wearing a lumpy backpack and reeking of marijuana and alcohol entered a public school. Jeez, that's it. They must be profiling.
That's
They have to be profiling this guy. I mean, I don't know how you could pick him out. I mean, it might take Sherlock Holmes to figure out this guy. You know, maybe should be detained and questioned. Try that crap in London in Heathrow Airport. Walk around Heathrow Airport in London, looking like this and smelling like this, and I guarantee you're going to be laying face down in the middle of the airport with a couple of M16s stuck in your back while they search you.
yeah, well.
But no, not in the United States anymore. You know, we're at everybody. We have to protect all the criminals. You know?
Well,
this he was
SKC
subjected to this terror. But like I said, when something happens and they don't, and then if a teacher or a principal says, "To hell with this ruling," they'll fire him.
Yeah.
That's what disturbs me. Am I outraged? Am I angry? Yes, virtually all the time when I read these things. It's like, this is insane. They have no sense of reality. And I still have the same, they say, you say you rant, I got a solution. I got a solution. I've always had a solution. Even back then, when the politicians were doing that. I've got the solution. Take every one of these judges, stick them in a 3-decker in Lowell, make their children and their grandchildren go to a school that people like this are roaming the halls, and see if they'll keep that ruling. You want to fix health care? Give those clowns in Washington our health care. You want to fix anything? Make them live the life we have to live. But they don't. They're special. They're monarchs. They don't have to do it. And it's not only the federal government. Look at our state. $65,000 for being the Speaker of the House, $80,000 extra for being the Senate president. You get all summer off, half the winter off. You get all kinds of per diems. You get travel expenses if you live more than like 12 feet from the State House. And what? We can't get a tax holiday. We can't get anything. So is this society now become totally convoluted? Yes, it has. It's ridiculous. But what's the answer? Either boot them out, or let's make them live. Let's do something. Make them let them live in a society that they've created. Let them live in a 3-decker. Let them. Hey, I got a great 3-decker. We can stick them in there with a couple of drug dealers on a 3rd floor, a couple of hookers on a 2nd. They can live. They can live on a 1st floor across the hall from some arms dealer, and see how long they last. You know, because this is what they've created, but they're not living in there. Take a ride down a Cape and try to get on a Kennedy compound.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
try that. They don't live the life we do, and that's what really angers me, because they make these rulings sitting on their thrones, not on the bench. They're sitting on a throne, because nothing they ever pass, no law, no court ruling they ever pass, has any effect on them.
Of course not. What did Marie Antoinette say? Let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake. So, but it's interesting on this one, because this guy, Villagran, he was 19. He walked into Milton High School, reeking of drugs and alcohol, wearing a backpack, was wandering the halls.
Yeah.
First, he told school officials he was a student. A lie. Then he told them he was meeting a girl. A lie. A police officer was called in to investigate, and he found Villagran to be very shaky and suspicious.
You think?
The officer conducted a pat-down search of Villagran and found a loaded gun in the backpack he was toting, along with marijuana and $3,000 in cash.
Well, that's not a tip-off.
No, that wasn't a tip-off at all. But guess what? The gun's discovery prompted a school lockdown. 20 officers were called in to search for other suspicious people or weapons secreted in the building. Nothing was found, and Villagran was arrested. Good police work, right? Wrong. Not according to the 5 members of the Supreme Judicial Court. The majority ruled that the officers lacked reasonable belief that Villagrán was armed and dangerous. But he was armed and dangerous. But
Really? They lacked reasonable belief. Okay. So that takes precedent over the fact that they averted a potential catastrophe there.
Right.
He could have been there to make a drug deal or shoot somebody or do whatever. But because they did, well, you know something, when they had problems, or they called them the troubles, I guess, in Ireland with the IRA and stuff, there was no unreasonable search and seizure. You know, if they suspected it, they were saving lives. Right. So again, the society, what's good for the society is overruled by these academics who sit on their thrones and pass laws with a total disregard. You know, this is absolute. I read it and it's absolutely absurd. It makes no common sense. You know, it makes absolutely no sense at all to say they lacked reasonable belief. Well, number one, he wasn't a student. He lied to the teachers twice, but they didn't have any reason at all to treat him as a suspicious person. No, they didn't. He wasn't a student. All these factors, and this is it's absolutely ludicrous. And look, it's the society. How did Klaus von Bülow get off? He didn't get off. He didn't get off because he was not guilty. He hired Alan Dershowitz to find a procedural loophole, and he got acquitted. And why did he get acquitted? Because he was a bazillionaire, and he could afford to go get Alan Dershowitz, the man who said that the guy who shot 28 innocent people in a McDonald's had to be found not guilty because they didn't Mirandize him. Even though everybody else in the McDonald's saw the guy mow people down, the guy walked. You know, that to me shows a fault in this society. We've degenerated to the point where the safety of the society is secondary to these people who want to make, oh, it's more important that the spirit of the law. No. You know, the legal system was created to punish crime, to maintain order in our society. And too many lawyers have created their own thing. Now it's all about the system. The system's more important than a crime. Well, those 28 people who were murdered in a McDonald's and watched that guy walk because they said, oh, you know, the police didn't Mirandize him properly. Well, I'll tell you what, the guy picked the right country to do it in, because I know where he would have ended up in any other country on the planet for killing 28 people. They wouldn't have Mirandized them. They would have probably he would have died of lead poisoning. So, you know, and that's the thing that disturbs me, because you think about the tragedies that we've seen, and it only encourages this stuff. I mean, look at this ruling. I mean, so now they can walk in. I wonder if he walked in full body armor, if they would have had a reasonable belief that he was armed and dangerous.
No, it would be Halloween.
No, that's right. Well, as long as the weapon wasn't visible, they would have probably said, well, like you said, well, maybe he likes body armor.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be reasonable to think he might be dangerous. So, I mean, look, we've gone from the ridiculous to the sublime now.
We've gone beyond
just crazy.
Sublime. We've gone beyond sublime, that's for sure. I'll tell you now. But, of course, last night we had a special Thursday City Clowncil meeting. It was the City Clowncil. And I spoke. Oh, no, but I must have been...
And congratulations on Sean Kadim giving you extra time.
I know.
It was like a day that we should mark, should be maybe a state holiday.
I know.
You actually got extra time.
And actually, it was Joe Camara who made the motion to give me the extra time. Thank you, Councilor Camara. I appreciate it.
Heavens to Betsy.
I mean, but you know, this was a major issue, and here's where you get duplicitous bull. Okay, you've got Mike Mioza, Chris Botley, John Sylvia, Cusack, you've got Quinn, you've got all of them, Patrick Norton, all saying, oh yeah, we're all for educating the voter. We're all for making sure they know what this chart is going to bring them. You know, and yes, we don't mind having a pro and con position put on the ballot. Yet they did everything humanly possible to stop a pro and con position to be on the ballot. Everything humanly possible. To the point that in dictatorial fashion, Mike Maioza altered the summary after it had been voted on, duly voted on at a duly posted meeting of the Charter Commission. In the wording they used was incorrect. Incorrect. And so he unilaterally, on the 11th, sent a letter to Allison Bouchard, the city clerk. Dear Clerk Bouchard, per Attorney Macy's letter dated September 8th, he states if the ballot summary is inaccurate, it should be amended, provided it is an amended ballot question and summary which removes 2 sentences and replaces them with sentences that better reflect the language in the proposed Home Rule Charter, see below. Please forward the amended ballot question and summary to the City Councils, since this is a matter is scheduled to come before them at their meeting on Thursday, September 14th. But this meeting wasn't important enough for Commissioner Maioza to be here. No, he decided it was more important to go on vacation. But they removed elected officials convicted of a felony will be barred from holding any elective or appointed office in the city. That's not what the proposed charter change is. The proposed charter change is that if you are convicted of a state or federal felony while holding office, you must vacate the office. And that's not even the wording that's used in the proposed charter. The proposed charter says it will declare the seat vacant.
Yeah. Well, obviously they didn't get due process. What disturbs me more than anything else about this, and it was ludicrous listening to, well, a charter will then be revised on every year ending in a 7, and it will be, and then the ordinances we looked at, and every year ending in a 3 or a 5. I don't know. Who cares? What they failed to get to tell the people, besides all the other, things that take away all the power from the people in this new charter, like getting 300 signatures to run for mayor, and rather than more than it takes to go into the state legislature, and because to quote-unquote vet, all these other things, to make it virtually impossible to have a recall when the people want to rise up and take back their government, because now the Corporation Council can just throw it in the trash after you go through all the work, and, the percentage and everything. But what they didn't say about this part, they're talking about the revision of the charter. They failed to tell the people that they were elected by the people to represent the people. And they came up with a charter that will now never allow the people again to have input into the charter changes because it's done by politicians. They forgot to put that in, that it's no longer what we want. Everybody complains all the time about, this strong mayor form of government is terrible. This charter makes the mayor even stronger. He's on every board. He has virtual absolute power. It makes him a dictator. The charter change is now going to be done by politicians. And I don't care if they say, well, these politicians are elected. No. They were elected as mayor, city council, or school committee to be the mayor, a city councilor, or a school committeeman. They were not allowed to make their own rules, and the charter is what they govern by. And when they're sworn into office, they say they will uphold the laws of the United States, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the ordinances of the city of Fall River, and its charter. It's there to direct them on how this city is to be run. They do not get to make their own rules. Do you get to make your own rules when you work? When you go to work, do you tell your boss, oh, by the way, from now on, I'm writing my own contract? I'm not going to negotiate it with you.
Only in Fall River can you do that.
Yeah, or I'm going to appoint the people who are going to write my contract. It's going to be my mother, my father, my 2 cousins, and my brother-in-law. So, it's ludicrous.
It's always crazy. And we're going to be talking a lot more about the charter as we get closer to November 7th, because I know that I personally am a no on the charter. I know that Chip is a no on the charter. And I'm finding more and more people are no on the charter. So.
Well, remember one thing: if you're walking around with a backpack, Milton's a pretty affluent town.
That's right.
So when they can't even pat down people, we're all in trouble.
That's it.
Stay angry and have a good week.
Have a great weekend, people.